Hey y'all, welcome back to Cold Springs Farm. Today we're going to look down here at starting to clean up some of this storm damage from Helene that I have not had time to get to yet. This is just part of the damage, and I'm going to turn the camera around here looking at here. This has been a part of a stand of timber that we've been doing some timber stand improvement work in anyway, and when the storm hit, when the storm came down this valley, it just kind of skipped off of this northern rim, which is a south facing slope. And sorry about that, it just kind of went down through like a pinball and was kind of hit and miss of what it tore up. Well, this is about a 2-acre patch of just really hard hit. We've already cleaned a little bit of it up, but not a lot. You can see it's a lot of scarlet oak in there that's down. That's what it really tore up. We've already got a skid trail in here. This is, some of y'all recognize this skid trail. This is the one I took that big white oak off of last year before the storm hit. So we were in the process. A lot of these trees are down because, you know, it's scarlet oak, but they got hit hard with the storm, but a lot of them were unhealthy to begin with. And you can see what's happened there. There's one that's dead. I've got to take down. It's died. But we're going to skid these up with the tractor. I'll get down in there with the chainsaw and work those up, and then we'll skid all that stuff that's back in there. We'll skid that up to right here, or maybe just a little bit further forward. Probably right here though, and I'll cut them to log length. You know, most of those will be firewood. There's very little saw log left in there. In this market, I'll shove these logs right over to here and then come up and get them out of here with a forwarder. That way I don't have to skid them so far. Otherwise, I've got to the edge of the cow pastures down there about another 200-300 yards. But why skid them that far if I don't have to? I mean, you can see there's quite a bit of damage in there. It's really hard to say how much is actually in there because, I mean, there's a root ball right there. It's hard to see with the camera, but you can just see that log hiding there. That's a good size one. So, pretty fair amount of wood in here yet. There'll be a few railroad ties that I'll pick out, but the rest of it we will bust into firewood through the processor. So I'll walk y'all through this. As we do it, we'll try to get some more video footage. I apologize, I hadn't been posting much lately. In all honesty, I've been just tired and wore out. I've had so much going on. It's, you know, but that's life, right? So, like my buddy says, you got a little bit every day, but it's, sometimes it can just seem like quite a bit that you got to get done. Here's one little corner of it that we have cleaned up. We haven't finished it, obviously, but this was so tangled in here, you couldn't even get that part of the road I just walked down, you couldn't even get back in it. I mean, it tore it up bad, stuff all down it, so we had to start here and get that poked. Now that we've got that, I'll start back in there and we'll work forward. I'm gonna make this a little longer than I normally do. You know, I normally do little reels because that's what most people seem to have time to watch. You can get an idea as we progress down this road here what these woods looked like before that storm hit. I mean, we had a lot of unhealthy stuff that needed to come out of there. This is south facing slope. You can see my dogs running. It's thin shaly soil. I mean, it's poor soil. It's typical of the Virginia uplands, you know, mountain uplands. This is a oak and hickory site, you know, really conducive to that. I got a lot of scarlet oak in here, but this really grows hickory, white oak, and beech better than it does the red oak. Site conditions seem to favor that a little better. You can really see it in the quality. I mean, there's actually a decent red oak there, but it's an unusual specimen in this stand. Most of them are pretty swell budded and doty like that one right there. When you start seeing your oaks, you can see how that bottom of that tree just bells out. When you start seeing that, and you see how rough that bark's getting down in there, signs like that, you can take it to the bank that that's either hollow or rotten in the center if it hadn't actually gotten hollow yet. Here's a prime example, just what, 6 feet away from it. This is a more advanced stage of it. This stand was full of stuff like that. Scarlet oak does that a lot anyway, but all your oaks can do it. And you can just see, I mean, it's in the red oak family, but it's a low-grade red oak. About all that ever makes is railroad ties, or you can get flooring lumber out of it. Very clearly, or very rarely will you get actual FAS out of it. It takes a pretty good one to do it. You can do it, but mostly you're going to get low-grade logs out. But what we're doing with this is just thinning this out, and I don't want big holes in the canopy like what we have back there in the storm damage. I've been trying to avoid that because those big holes like that will let a lot of weeds in. You can have a lot of invasives come in, and then your quality trees will brush out more. It's not as good for the wildlife. It doesn't hurt to have a small little patch like that, because there are some benefits to wildlife. Don't get me wrong, there really are. But I don't want this whole block of woods like that. That would not be beneficial. So we'll slowly release stuff. There's a couple nice growing white oak right there. It's got some limbs down low, but all in all, here's another white oak. You got hickory right there. We've got all 3 types of hickory in here: shagbark, butternut, and pig, and whatnot. There's another white oak. You can see there's quite a bit of beech in here. Now, most people would log this beech out and get rid of it completely. I don't mind the beech. It has a whole lot of wildlife benefits to it. It provides a lot of good late season feed for the wildlife with the mast on there and whatnot. It also sits there, and when you got it growing near white oak, it'll kind of keep the white oak shaded so that they're straighter and less limby. Here's a little clump of beech. Some of those I'll probably just thin with the saw just to kill those little tiny ones. But you can get an idea, I mean, of what we're dealing with in here. This is part of some of the property that lays nicer. Not as steep, but you can see the soil is still pretty poor. On these south-facing slopes, you usually have to get into the hollers and the coves to sit there and get into some of the better soils. Now, here's a big old black oak. Look at that's, you know, oftentimes classified in the red oak family. You can look, it's getting swell budded. It's got a big old, probably a frost crack up it right there. And what do we have when we come around this side? Oh, imagine that, it's hollow. So that tree, you can see the deformity going up the trunk on that right side. How that, right along that crack vein right there. You can just kind of see that going right on up. A good chance that that's going to have a good hollow spot in it that'll continue up on there 8 or 10 feet, maybe more than that. I won't know till I get it on the ground. I'm not going to cut that right now though. Red oak market is absolutely horrible. And I don't want that big of a hole in the canopy right here after everything that we've, with this storm damage, because I've got some more stuff in here that's a little bit more pressing to get out. Stuff that'll come out as, you know, just a firewood harvest, like that beech down there that's hung up. So, anyway, we'll catch y'all next time, y'all.